Hello there, I'm Lloyd Evans. Welcome to the attic. It's time for another voicemail. Today's voicemail is from Emily. Let's listen to what Emily has to say.
Hi, Lloyd. You can use this for the channel. My name is Emily. Where do I even begin with this thing? So about 3 years ago, I started to disassociate after my mom's passing. That's a story for itself. But I also found out, I don't know what you want to call it, that I was gay. And then the congregation found out, and they weren't too happy about it. But anyway, because she's long distance, and I do have a girlfriend, but because she is long distance, they were like, oh, it's just a strong friendship. So you're not doing anything, so we're not going to disfellowship you. But it's debatable on that, honestly, because it's not a strong friendship. She's my everything. But they refuse to leave me alone. They refuse to... They will not stop bugging me. And I've repeatedly told them not to come over, that I don't want anything to do with witnesses. And my family just throws shade at me and starts calling me all these names. And I'm just wondering, how do I make it all stop? You know? Like, it's been hard because my mom did unalive herself because of this cult. And because my father, and again, that's a story for another time. But then I was placed in a care facility, and so I'm long distance with my girlfriend right now, but we eventually want to, be together, but it's kind of hard right now. But I guess my question is to you, how do I get them to stop? How do I get them to just, kindly back off? Because if I'm not disfellowshipped, how am I supposed to get them to, back off and not talk? Because I don't want anything to do with them. Because they're just trying to cram everything down my throat. But anyway, I know this is a bit of a ramble, and I sound like an idiot, but this is my first time doing this thing. It took me a week to figure out how to do this, so... But thank you for your time. Thank you for your content, and you're really cool. So thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much, Emily, for that message. You definitely don't sound like an idiot. I have so much sympathy for your situation. It's a really difficult situation that you've described. First of all, huge condolences for the loss of your mother. I know what it's like to lose your mother when you're young. It's a huge hole in your life that you never completely fill. And for you to be navigating all of this stress and all of this anxiety and people trying to change your identity without having the support of a mother figure in your life, someone who you can confide in and someone who can just give you nothing but unconditional love, it's a really challenging situation that you find yourself in, and one that you shouldn't have to be dealing with so young. But you're incredibly courageous for trying to tackle this. I'm a little bit confused because you say that you began disassociating 3 years ago, and then towards the end of your message, you mentioned that you're not yet disfellowshipped. I think probably what you mean is that you started fading 3 years ago. Disassociated means that you've basically handed in a letter to your elders and told them that you no longer wish to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses. And if they're still bugging you, then clearly that's not what's happened. So just to be clear, just to explain how I'm answering your question and why I'm answering it the way I'm answering it, and to clear up any confusion for listeners, I think probably that's what you're describing. You started to put distance between yourself and the religion. Maybe you dropped off with meeting attendance, and despite having put this distance between you and the congregation, you're still being treated as though you are a fully believing member. They seem to be jumping through hoops to some extent to try and keep you in, even though you've expressed to them that you are gay, or maybe you've given very strong suggestions in that direction. They seem to be contenting themselves with saying, well, at least if it's a long distance thing and they're not physically together, there can't be any porneia. So we'll just chalk it down as being a strong friendship. I think that's probably what the elders are doing. I mean, I guess in a way they deserve a bit of credit for wanting to extend leniency where they can, instead of trying to orchestrate your disfellowshipping. It seems they're trying to find a workaround here. So that's at least something that's going in your favor. But you express that they refuse to leave you alone, that they are bugging you. So in other words, you are experiencing some degree of harassment from the leadership of a religion that you no longer believe, and which denies who you are in terms of your sexuality. Unfortunately, there is no easy way out of this situation. If there were, many people would not be making YouTube videos and writing books and doing blog posts and taking to social media. That's the nature of the organization we're dealing with, an organization that threatens people with shunning. So you basically have a decision to make. Now, what some people have been able to do is fade, where they stay technically as one of Jehovah's Witnesses, but they go about their exit in a very strategic way so that they can keep some level of contact with their loved ones who are Jehovah's Witnesses, with their friends and relatives. And it sounds like you still have some relationship perhaps with your father, and with other family members who are Jehovah's Witnesses. Ultimately, it boils down to how important are those relationships to you at this point in your life? Are you content to burn those bridges, or do you need, for the time being, to keep those relationships, dysfunctional though they may be, intact to some extent? And if you need to do that, it's simply a case, I say simply, there's nothing simple about it, but what you need to do is just sit down and think, okay, what outcome do I want? Do I want to pursue my relationship with my girlfriend so that we're together in person and we're able to, work on our relationship together and be open about it, at least in another part of the world? What steps do I need to take in that direction? So how do I kind of relocate to where she is? Or how do I set up my work and living arrangements so that the local congregation and indeed my family know as little as possible? And it's a case of don't ask, don't tell, They know as much as I permit them to know. So you need to kind of, if you're going to do this the fading way, you need to really think hard about how you can just rotate everything and bring everything into position so that it, as dysfunctional though it is, you're able to sort of make things work. Now, what some people have done, myself included, is say, you know what, life's too short. I'm not going to tiptoe around and pretend to be someone else. I'm not going to pretend that I believe a religion that I no longer believe. I'm not going to pretend to support in any way, shape, or form a religion that views being gay as some kind of abomination, some kind of disease. I want out. And if my believing friends and family choose to shun me, so be it. That's what some people, myself included, have chosen to do. But nobody can tell you to do that. You need to make that decision yourself, because it has repercussions on your mental health, which brings me to my usual disclaimer of making sure that you prioritize your mental health, irrespective of what you decide to do moving forward. You mentioned you've been in a care facility, and in addition to dealing with this extremely stressful situation where you're dealing with a bigoted religion that wants to tell you what your sexuality should be, you're dealing with the recent loss of your mother. So those are very, very taxing things to be draining on your mental health, and they're going to be impacting you quite badly, I would suggest, or in most cases they would. And I'm not a mental health expert. I'm not a counsellor or therapist. I have no qualifications in that area. So I think the biggest priority for you should be making sure that your mental health needs are cared for, so that you seek out professional help, so that you can, come to terms with what's happened to you in terms of the loss of your mother and all of the many issues that will raise. But with your mental health being addressed, if you want my advice on how to tell the elders to leave you alone, there's only one way really that you can do that, and that's to disassociate. The alternative is to essentially trick the elders into thinking that they still have power over you, even though they don't, even though they never see or hear from you, because you've gradually faded from their radar and they have no means of knowing what you're getting up to. But trust me, I've heard from people who have thought they've successfully faded, and then years or decades later, elders will just come out of the woodwork and pounce on you and find some pretext for finishing what they started, for making sure that the shunning can happen. So hopefully, if nothing else, I've given you some things to think about, but it bears repeating that you are an extremely courageous woman for leaving this message and for trying to figure out a way through this situation, and for being so resolved about your identity and having all that stuff figured out about your sexuality relatively early in your life, so that rather than, I don't know, for example, getting married to some guy and then finding out decades later that you're gay, it's better to find that out when you're relatively young, I would suggest. So well done for doing that, and I wish you all of the best with this situation. With that said, if you would like to leave a voicemail, the thing to do is go to speakpipe.com/cedars, remembering to indicate clearly if you don't want me to broadcast your message. But that's all we have time for. Thank you so much for watching.